All right, hey, this is Act 2 of the podcast. We're getting right back into it. If you missed Act 1, go back and listen to that thing. Otherwise, this isn't going to make any sense. Okay, see ya.
And he said, no problem, Dad, no problem. I said, you need to be a help to the head coach today, not a hindrance to practice. I'm not there. I can't regulate you, which I don't normally have to regulate him. He's just another one of the kids on the field when we're practicing. So then immediately after practice, I'm driving and in the afternoon now. And my wife calls me and I said, hey, how was practice today, buddy? And he said, it was rough, Dad. And I was like, okay, what happened? He goes, I don't know. Coach said I ruined practice. I was being too loud, this and that. So I'm like, oh, no. So I hang up the phone and I text the head coach. I say, hey, how'd practice go today? Hoping for some, hey, so-and-so did really well. They're really developing well. And he sent me 2 long paragraphs back saying Lane had a rough day. He wouldn't stop screwing off. I tried to get him back in line several times. He wasn't listening. And so I'm like, immediately, because the first time I'm gone, Lane's out of his mind that day, and everyone's thinking, well, this kid just can't control himself when his dad's not around. If his dad's not around, he's a problem. So and they, he got that reputation honestly. So how can you argue?
Yeah, you earned that. Damn it, he earned that.
Absolutely.
Nowadays it's different. Back in the old days, you knew you were going to get your ass beat. But you didn't care. You still fucked off the whole time. And then Dad beat your ass when you got home. And then that was it. Now it's all different. Now it's all meetings and pills. And, that's fine. I get it. I understand. But isn't it? It's so different now. The difference in the way things are between the way they are now and the way they used to be is unbelievable.
First of all, I can still feel my dad whipping my ass.
Oh, yeah.
And I am 110% okay with that situation. Now, because the world has changed, I'm not as physical with my son, but I am physical with him. I believe kids need physical discipline. And I know some people won't agree with me on that. Also, I think that, all kids are different. They respond to different things. I've learned that coaching football over the years and also dealing with kids in the paintball world. They all need kind of different motivations and different discipline. It's not just a black and white situation, but I can tell you from my experience, my kid needs to understand that I'm going to whip his ass if he's out of line. And that helps with him. So do you do a closed fist and just punch him in the nose? I threatened to punch him in the mouth a lot. The number of times that I've actually put my hands on him is compared to how many times I threaten it is pretty minimal.
Right.
I've never closed fisted. I think it's more of a smack than it is a punch. I think cuff. Punch you kind of get into, maybe you could call it abuse.
Yeah, you could.
With smacking, I think smacking is more corrective behavior.
Yeah, a crack or a cuff in the head will work. Or like the ear, box's ear, that's a good one. Or actually kick him in the ass while you're hanging onto his shirt. Full toe is a good one too. And tackling him, getting him in a headlock, and screaming in his face also works quite well. I encourage that.
Well, when the kid was 4 foot tall, you just sometimes you just got to look at him the right way, and he gets it. But now that and I don't want to admit that in his presence, now that he's taller than me. He doesn't weigh what I weigh, but he's taller than me. He's a little bit more awkward, but when he fills out, he's going to be tough to handle.
That day's coming.
I look at it the same way I look at when I train my dogs. I am physical with my dogs. I whip their ass when they're puppies, and I have really well-behaved dogs when they get older. And I need him to understand that when I get physical with him, there is a hurting that I can put on him, and I need him to remember that, because at some point, and it's going to happen within the next 5 years, at some point, I'm not going to be able to do much about it. And he needs to remember those lessons, and that needs to be buried deep in his subconscious, because I need to be able to look at him and make the threat and have him remember that, oh, yeah, my dad's still the boss.
Maureen says, Jesus Christ, are you kidding me, Rick? I think you pushed your buttons when you talked about beating the dog's ass.
Oh, I definitely beat my dogs, but I tell you what, my dogs are well behaved. I guarantee it.
Shit. Let's see. Stevie wrote, how to abuse your kids with EZ and Rick.
Yes. New segment.
Say yes to abuse with EZ and Rick.
I mean, I got to be real, man. I got to be real.
Rick, all right. Well, have a great weekend. And I can't wait to talk to you again. And we got a schedule. What the fuck? The Mexicans are pissed off.
I really, on a tangent here, I really like the way we've been doing this as far as, hey, I'm just going to call them out of the blue and see what happens.
Yeah.
Because most of the time you pick the right moment and I have 10, 15 minutes to bullshit. Whereas if you say the night before or the morning of, hey, I'm going to call you today, I develop a bunch of anxiety about, oh, shit, am I going to be available? Am I going to be putting other things off?
Yeah.
This has worked really well.
Oh, good.
Football season for me ends next week, and all of a sudden my schedule changes significantly. I am much less busy.
All right.
I do have a trip coming up in November, but we'll set a day and we'll get the Mexicans and anybody else out there that wants to shoot and get shot at.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
Talk to you soon.
See ya. Rick is in deep, deep shit with the audience. It's one thing to say you cuff your kids in the head. He's getting murdered over the crack about whipping his dog's ass. Now, you know me. I'm not going to whip my dog's ass. About the extent of me is going, no, stop it. So now everybody wants to beat Rick's ass. Maureen is furious. Stevie is mad. Linda's had it with him. He's getting nominated for Asshole of the Day. He's a fuckface. Holy shit. Piano Finger Banger says, Rick, you asshole. Linda says, great. He's another stew. Cole writes, look, Rick, it's okay to hit a kid, but a dog is too much. No, that's true. That is true. Let's see. Kevin writes, I would never hit my own dog. He's a good boy, but there are some dogs in my neighborhood that could use a beating. Well, some dogs, sure. Kenny writes, I got my ass beat as a kid. My sisters did not. They were never well behaved and put my parents through hell, even into their adult lives. I did not. I used to. It didn't take long till they were faster than me, my kids. I can count on one time I ever actually put my hands on them. It was always like a crack on the butt. I think I put Jim up against a wall one time. I'm going to fucking punch your fucking face. Some shit like that. That's about it, though. Speaking of the dogs, I told this story in the Ben and Eric Patreon podcast. Well, there is a story on the Ben and Eric Patreon podcast. Darla had an accident yesterday. And there is a M. Night Shyamalan plot twist to it. Caught a lot of people off guard. It shouldn't really come as a surprise, though. Maureen says, no, you do not beat animals. What the fuck is wrong with you people? Good God. I agree with Maureen. You don't beat animals. Save it for babies and toddlers. Beat humans, not animals. Yankees suck says, just having fun, Maureen. Truth be told, it's their owners that need a smack upside the head. Yeah, I don't think any of this is serious. I don't believe for a second that Rick actually beats his dog. He may have said it, but I don't believe that shit. There's no fucking way that he beats the dog. I mean, he might crack the dog on the ass or smack it on the head. No. But a beat? No. Dog's not going to get beat. Come on now. Concerning the guy who tuned up my furnace, that would be David, the Chinese Italian. The discussion about cleaning the basement with bleach after all the cat puke, from the cat puke incident earlier this week, it's clean now. That is not going to happen again. That was a low point for me. Rebecca says, when my husband was a teenager, his dad threw him across the kitchen table because he disrespected his mother. Yeah, that's kind of code. If you're in the if it's mom, dad, and little guy insults mother, she just looks at dad. That's what happens. And then he sees red, and for about 15, 20 seconds, you're dealing with a monster. All right? And then that's what's going to happen. And then that lesson is going to be learned. You don't disrespect mom. God damn it. Ryan says, save the beatings for small children and the elderly and MAGA loyalists. Nick says, beat your meat, not animals. Kenny writes, anyone who ever uses the word beat, they don't mean beat. They mean discipline. Nobody worth a damn beats animals or children. You're right. When I think of the word beat, I think of like, ground and pound MMA. That's a beating. Or kicking them in the head when they're unconscious. That's a beating. Smacking somebody on the ass is not a beating. I don't care what you say. Jeremy says that my poor dog was beaten before I adopted her. I've had her for 7 to 8 years, and I'm still the only person she doesn't hide from. Yeah, we got one of those too, Benny Bear. He had a rough go. Maureen says, for the record, I do not believe in beating children either. Nobody's beating anybody, okay? Kenny hit the nail on the head because he's kind of a legend these days. No one's getting, quote unquote, beaten. It's a terminology. You see, Maureen, she says, I totally think Rick was serious when he said he beats his dogs. Because he followed it up with they're well-behaved, presumably from being beaten. Look, he's not beating anything. There's no one beating. It's the word that you're hung up on. He disciplines the animal. That's what he's doing. You guys, tone it down, people. There are no people beating animals in the Eric Zane Show podcast universe. Okay? There are no beatings. My God, the late, great dog, what's the one that passed of Rick's? Was it Maple? No. Pepper? It was a fucking pipe. Spice. I said pipe. A spice. Was it Sage? God, I think it was. There it is. Rick says it. He's in here. Basil passed. And Sage was his previous dog. Now he has Barley. And I knew Basil. I interacted with Basil many times. I'd go out of my way to pet that dog. That dog was not beaten, okay? It was just, it would be cowering and afraid of me and would bite my fucking face. There was no beating going on. Smack on the ass is one thing, whatever. Okay, no one's getting beaten. Rebecca says, was it cumin? Was it sassafras? Maureen asks directly, Rick, do you hit your dog? Beat is the word. He writes, I disciplined my dogs when they were pups. I don't have to touch them anymore. Ryan says, Rick, as your legal advisor, you do not have to answer questions. Maureen says, define disciplined. Uh-oh. You see, now she's, look. Uh-oh. Kevin says beaten dogs aren't well behaved. I'm just going to say that I do not believe that Rick beats dogs at all. Corey writes, Rick killed the dog, confirmed. That is bullshit and not at all accurate. God damn it. Lorraine says, sorry, not sorry. Aram says, Eric is on serious damage control for the podcast. Hold on here. I am not on damage control. Do you think that I would associate with anyone who beats animals? Come on now. Rick writes, I think anyone would be hard-pressed to find someone that has witnessed me abusing dogs or kids. Yeah. There's no abuse here, people. Of course, you saying that could just mean that you did it in your own house. But that's not what we're talking about here. Rick doesn't do that, goddammit. Oh, God. Maureen says beating kids and animals is nothing to joke about. I disagree. It's absolutely awesome to joke, especially kids. Come on. Maybe not dogs. I mean, we've been joking all throughout this show, and I think it's wonderful. But you can't, I mean, I talk about so much fucked up shit. I've said this before, and Rick is right about this. He says everything is okay to joke about. And it's true. Come on now. We cannot live in a world, all right, and especially in podcast form, where we can go around and just having to tiptoe around things. We have said so many terrible things in this chat and on this show in the past 6 years. If anyone starts to worry about particular things and off-limits topics, come on now. We're all adults here. I don't think you can sit there and make distinctions about, and start policing what we have to say. All right? Joe writes, kids need beating. That's why this country is fucked up. You asshole. Aram says, I don't think there is anyone joking. Eric is holding on by a thread. Well, what do you mean? I'm not holding. I didn't do it. I didn't say anything. I'm not the one who's on the hot seat here. I'm just interpreting what I've seen and what I've heard. And I know that the people in this, there's no one in this audience who is some type of crazed villain. I'm not a pitchfork gatherer and tiki torches type of guy. I don't think anybody here is some type of psychopath. And that's even with Joe Martinez in the chat. I mean, it's bad enough that he's Mexican. All right. So everybody's all pissed off. There's no need for that, I'm telling you. Rick, are you getting a new pooch? Because now that Basil went to the Rainbow Bridge, and I know that was very hard to do for you. God bless you. Is there a new pooch in the works? Rick writes, I have spanked my dog and I've spanked my kids. Are those terms better? He says, yes, there is a new pooch in the works. Thank you. We miss Basil very much. How do you go about getting your pooches? Because some people like, oh, you got to adopt. But I don't know about that. I do both, obviously, when it comes to the Bulldogs. But are you Are you a go to the local animal shelter and get a pooch? Aram suggests this may be a sponsor firing. Rick says, we like to adopt. I want to save a dog that is at risk. Corey says, rescue is the only correct way. Otherwise, you're a dick. Well, now, wait a minute now. I do not accept that because Darla May and Bruce are not from shelters. Okay? We go to the only way. This is the best way to get a dog. Puppy mill. Have you heard of these things? They're amazing. There's a guy there, and like he has dogs that go ahead and they like their job is to have puppies. So, yeah, that's like Ryan says, you got to save the puppies from the mill. You got to go to this one place. It's called Puppy Mill. And all of the, they call them bitches. All of the bitches are like the Tom Brady of having puppies. And because they're so awesome at having puppies, they have so many that the puppies are cheap. So you can get a great puppy for like next to nothing. It's fantastic. Cole says, asshole of the day, rescue shelters. Now, because some of you are all fucking fussy and in your feelings, I don't really believe that puppy mills are the way to go. They are horrible things. And it's the reason why I have to explain this to you ding-dongs is because everybody's all agitated. Look at this dog. We do not get our dogs from puppy mills. Of course we don't get our dogs from puppy mills. Anyway, Nick in Houston writes, if you're just tuning in, Eric said he condones beating your dogs. All right. So, yeah, I mean, I know about the adoption thing. That's great. But you know how often you can get a fucking French bulldog or a English bulldog from a goddamn adoption place? Never. Because everybody wants those dogs. So you go to, when you want to adopt, you got to go to the place like Harbor Humane, and you see a dog that's got one ear down, one ear up, two different colored eyes. It has socks on, has different colored socks on. All right. It's all amazing. You can get one of those dogs too. Maureen says you can discipline without physically hitting a child or an animal. Yeah, but that's not as fun, okay? Kevin in Northern Ontario writes, I love dogs, but seeing people get their panties in a knot over it is the funniest thing ever. Chris has got it down. He says, exactly, Maureen. Starvation and isolation works great on kids. Bob says, yeah, when's the last time there was a corgi in a shelter? Yeah, if you want a corgi and they don't have one, you go get a corgi. I remember when I got Bruce, there was some psycho bitch from one of the fucking shelters who was a follower of me on BBL. And I posted a picture of me holding Bruce. And she wrote, no, just no. I can't believe you. You've let us down. And I was like, suck my ass when I'm shitting, you fucking 2-ton Tessie thunder-thighed whore. Shut up. Don't fucking do that. That's right, 2-ton Tessie. Stevie says you go to the rescue page of your desired breed. Border Collie Rescue, Corgi Rescue, etc. That is an option, but I'm just going to go to the guy who got me my last one. That's how I'm going to do it. That's how I did it. Yeah, there is no one size fits all for this pet Nazi. The fuck? Yeah, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. You got to do it the way I do it. She writes, that's what I would do. Yeah, you fixed it. In your first statement, you wrote, you go to the rescue. No, I'm not. I'm not going to go to the Border Collie Rescue or the Hot Tub Rescue. I'm going to go to my guy, Leon, who lives up in fucking Comstock Park. I'm going to say, dude, Bruce just croaked. Get me a new Bruce. Talk to you in 3 months. Click. That's how I roll. Hey, Larry, Darla's about to croak. All right, we're going to cry for about a month. I'll be there to pick out a new one. Fuck yeah. Click. By the way, O'Neill is having a dream. Let's check it out. He's saying, I don't like this talk. I don't like any of this talk, is what he's saying. He's furious with me right now. Maureen says, she was just, she was just pointing it out that it can be done. No, I love Stevie. Come on now. You guys can't take anything I say seriously. You're all too wound up. All of a sudden, it's all fun and games until EZ says something that makes me mad. Oh no, EZ's got me mad. I'm going to have a fucking heart attack because he's talking about pets and babies and he's beating kids and he's beating dogs. Oh my God, fuck EZ. I hate him. Fuck you. We're canceling our Patreon. Suck my ass. Hey everybody, it's your old pal EZ to talk about one of my amazing partners, Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile's done it right, you know. If you're like a sucker who's trapped paying tons of money to big wireless, it's time to end that cycle. You see, with big wireless, what you see is never what you get. Somewhere between the store and your first month's bill, the price you thought you were paying magically skyrockets. I've seen this happen so many times, especially with Pooh Bear when she breaks her phone and gets a new one. Oh yeah, it's only going to cost me this much. And get home and it's a complete disaster. I need a personal loan to pay the bill. With Mint Mobile, you'll never have to worry about the gotchas ever again. When Mint Mobile says $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan, they mean it. Okay, Mint Mobile is here to rescue you with premium wireless plans. I do this, and you should too. My bill went from astronomical to $15 a month for my phone. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. The game is up for big wireless. We are on to you. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/Zane. That's mintmobile.com/Zane. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Zane. $45 upfront payment required. That's equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speeds slower, over 40 gig on unlimited plan, but you'll be fine. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. Aram, going for the jugular, wrote, look how well Eric's RV guy did for him. You know, I don't know. What have I done to you? What have I done to deserve that? Which, by the way, the fraud bus is in the driveway right now, and it's part of Last Hurrah weekend up north. This is a conversation I had with the guy who sold me the fraud bus. I go, dude, I have to winterize this thing. Somebody wants me to pay them $300 to do it. Do you think I can do it? He says, yes. Were you able to do it on the last one I sold you? I go, yes. You can do this one. It's probably even easier. And then he starts using words that I don't know. Removing panels, taking hoses off of pumps, things like that. And then he asked me if I have a so-and-so adapter. And I said, I've never heard of that in my life. So I'm asking a guy if he thinks I can do it. He asks me if I have a so-and-so thing. I say no. Those three things right there tell you that this is going to be a catastrophe. And you need to look forward to that. There's potential this whole thing could burn to the ground. He sends me this so-and-so adapter I have to buy. I mean, like he sends me an Amazon. He goes, buy this thing right now. Right now. I buy that thing. It's going to be here Saturday. That's what you need. Look it up. You'll find tons of correspondence online you can look at that'll help you. So that's in the works. So what you do is there's that pump that is part of the, what do you call it? Whatever it is, it's your pump that gets your water out of your fucking pipes and your faucet and your shower. You drain all the water out, and there's still water in those lines. You got to get it out of there, or it's going to explode when it freezes. So you unhook this thing on this pump, and then the adapter I was telling you about, you put that on there, and the other end of it is an open-ended hose. You put that in a whole jug of this pink antifreeze. Then you open up the faucets and turn on the pump that you're looking at. Now, instead of pumping water out of the faucet, it's drawing out of this antifreeze. And the antifreeze starts dropping. The level of it starts emptying. The jug is emptying into that tube, and now it's going throughout all the tubes in your fucking motorhome. Then all of a sudden it comes out the faucet. Then you're done. Shut off the pump, turn on the other one. You do the whole thing. And so, yes, I've had success doing this, but not on the fraud bus. There's potential for a problem. Or it might be my finest hour. I don't know. Aram says, I wouldn't trust anything they say. And then he adds, make sure by winterizing it yourself, you are not voiding the warranty. I bet they will try to get you to void it so they don't have to fix it for you. That is a fucking pro question. I will ask. Thank you. Matt writes, I cannot wait to hear how you have managed to pump poop through all of your faucets. Fuck. You're right. Okay, before we continue, thank you again to Rick at TC Paintball. Don't forget about dog days at TC Paintball. Head on in there with your dog. Rick is giving free pets. He also has pet training sessions available as he is expanding the TC Paintball empire. You too can get your dog trained at TC Paintball. No, come on now. I love Rick. I love TC Paintball. Book an event for you, your friends, your family. All right? Get the gang together. It could be a school function, could be the kids in the neighborhood, could be a bachelor party, could be some workplace team building. Reach out and book some time at TC Paintball. Online at tcpaintballgr.com. Corey says the dog training is right after the axe throwing. Piano Finger Banger says, Rick, does your dog training consist of shooting dogs with paintball guns? No! Look, Rick's one of the smartest people I know. He's not like some fucking redneck asshole. There is no beating going on. Now knock it off, goddammit. Ryan says the asshole of the day candidate is Maureen. Yeah, I would have to agree that Maureen, in going out of her way to try to slander a business on here is ridiculous. I'm really shocked at this turn of events. It's a human rights violation is what it is, trying to decimate such a wonderful member of our community like that. It might have to be Maureen for what she's doing here today. That would probably be a first. Yeah, and Ryan says the same thing. We're all disappointed. It's tragic because she's such a sweet and innocent soul. Aram writes, this podcast has suffered a serious setback today after Rick dealt it a huge blow. Unacceptable. And I'm only reading it to lampoon your nonsense. All right? I've had it. Ladies and gentlemen, open enrollment for healthcare.gov is October 15th. You can do it yourself if you want, but why? Frank Fuss can help you every step of the way. So if you get your insurance in the marketplace, call Frank and he'll help you. And it's free, no matter where you are in the U.S. Did you hear what I just said? Frank's going to help you with your enrollment and get you into the best policy possible. The beauty about healthcare.gov is you get to choose from multiple different policies and companies. You know, you kind of have an advantage regarding that. Whereas if you have workplace insurance, you're basically stuck with what your employer buys, and it's usually shit. You can get a gold, silver, bronze health insurance policy at healthcare.gov, and Frank is going to help you every step of the way. He's going to ask you a few questions, and by the end of the day, you can be ready to go. So I suggest reaching out now and getting started. Go to buyinsurancehere.com. It's worth noting that Frank does not get paid by consumers. He gets paid by the insurance companies. So if he puts you into a policy through healthcare.gov starting October 15th, that's how he makes his living. He is a licensed independent insurance agent / broker. And you can reach out to him for all types of insurance, including a life insurance policy, which was something that Pooh Bear and I did to make sure that we were protected with the peace of mind of knowing that if something happens, we will be taken care of. Thank you to the Mario Flores Lakeshore team of Van Dyke Mortgage. 231-332-6505. Buy now, refinance later with Mario. 231-332-6505. He will roll out the red carpet for you no matter where you are in the U.S. and get you started on your mortgage today. Give him a call and check him out. Now, that doesn't mean sight unseen, you're going to be signing up with him for doing business with, but make him part of the process of getting your mortgage. You might have a couple other people in mind. By all means, call them. But let Mario give him a fair shot. 231-332-6505. Let's see. Chris says Maureen is known to be a terrible human being. Oh, my God. Linda says, if Maureen says fuck you to someone, you know they're a horrible person. Aram says to Ryan, this was a turbulent episode for sure. Linda says, I think it warrants a new article from the Big Fraud News Network. They've been dark for some time, the BFNN. But that's okay. Maybe once in a while. And by the way, Kenny says Rick is not a horrible person. Rick's a good dude. And Kenny's a great judge of character. Say what you want, but he's right. And Rick is a great dude. I love Rick. He's also a solid advisor. Like if I needed some advice, there's a handful of people that I would turn to. And Rick is one of them. Radio voice Linda is one of them. I would not turn to Maureen because, I mean, she's showing her true side here. She's kind of evil. Piano Fingerbanger writes, EZ's podcast guest lineup, Rick / kid puppy abuser, Stu, elderly dog abuser, Joe Martinez, annoying as fuck. I agree with none of those things. Corey says Rick's backyard is full of his canine victims. God damn. What a bunch in here today. All right, before we continue, thank you again to King's Room Barbershop. 3 locations in West Michigan to get your hair cut. Caledonia, Northland Drive, Wyoming. You can get the exact locations on their website, kingsroom.net. A haircut is $19. 50-plus years of haircuts for a king. So if you're a dude or a chick who likes short hair, pardon me, you like King's Room Barbershop, you're going to love the haircut that you get. Might I add that if you cut hair for a living and you want to change a pace, they're hiring. So go visit my friends at King's Room Barbershop and please mention me when you go there. It's been a while since I've done a cameo. If you want me to do one for you, go to cameo.com/Eric Zane. Pardon me. Thank you to Nick Vandersloot. Nick sent me an article, and the headline reads, here is the latest workplace incident. Nice new, horrific job site accident. Dude's first day on job, and his ankle monitor gets caught in a branch. Ain't got to worry about wearing ankle monitor anymore. Sign, Nick. John O'Neill in Colorado had just started his new job. He was the guy to pick up the branches and stick them in the wood chipper. And sure as shit, just what I was saying, all of a sudden, he's being drug into the wood chipper. First, it chews up his feet, and then it's pulling him in. It's chowing away at leg meat and bone, sinew, blood, and fat flying everywhere. It destroys his knees, chewing up his patella. sucking more meat into it and spitting it out in little bits. The birds are already digging in for a fucking feast in the back of the truck. Then, dude reaches his arms out, grabs the sides of the fucking thing that's pulling him in. His name is John O'Neill. He's hanging on for dear life. This has only been seconds that this has been happening. He's screaming, somebody help me, oh my God, help me. He's hanging on while the blades continue to gnaw away at what is left of his legs, but he's not going any further in. The blades are getting ready to chew up his dick and asshole for the coup de grace. But the friends show up, they grab his arms, and they yank him out. He lives. He lives. Here he is. John O'Neill. Big smile on his face. This was 15 minutes into the new job. Look at this. Look at the leg. He looks like a goddamn... His legs look like Cabbage Patch Kids. Well, how about the spirit, though? I mean, he's got a smile on his face. He's doing double bicep pose. He's still hooked up to machines, IVs and shit. And he's got a great... You know why he's happy? He's happy because those legs that are now gone, they're being shit out by birds right now as we speak. That's worth... How much money do you think? Because he's got a lawsuit against the state of Colorado for the ankle monitor. If that ankle monitor is not there, this does not happen. Now, if I were the judge, I'd throw it out and say, well, you shouldn't have fucked up to make you have to wear the ankle monitor. That's not going to work, though. This is 2024. He's going to sue them. He's going to sue the employer and anybody else he can think of for that experience. And that's what Jeremy was just saying, the same thing. He's happy because he's now a billionaire. Kenny liked the Cabbage Patch Kids reference. Chris says he's going to sue the shit out of the state. Bob says there's a GPS tracker on the chair. Is there? I don't think there is. You're just being silly. Yeah, I guess. I mean, now what happens? And by the way, why do those legs look like Cabbage Patch Kids? Is that real? All right. There's a GoFundMe for the guy. How about the fact that on the GoFundMe, he's just outside of a climbing wall? Now, this is the type of GoFundMe that, you would think would be through the roof. But they haven't even gotten to their first goal. Their first goal is $30,000. He's got $29,630. Well, now $29,895. He's gotten a few since I first read this story. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, yeah, it's great that he's going to get paid, but is it worth it? He's still got the ding-dong, but holy shit, that's going to fuck him up. If Darth Maul and Lieutenant Dan can get new legs, surely this guy can go rock climbing again. Nick writes, I saw a wood chipper eat a 12-inch tree trunk like nothing. Us meat sacks are no match for those blades. Piano Finger Banger says titanium. It's what they use on the space shuttle. That's from Forrest Gump. Matt Peak says his lawsuit is probably going to back child support. Back child support? Is there something I don't know about this guy? Tofa says, oh, he didn't pay child support? Fuck him. Throw him in all the way. Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know anything about the child support. I am curious, though, about what he did to have the monitor on in the first place. It took a minute before my coworkers realized what was happening. O'Neill told the press the pain was very ... It was not there, almost. I didn't really feel the pain as much as I knew I was in trouble. It went from a fight for my limb to a fight for my life very fast. Yeah, it would be terrible. It would be terrifying. I don't know how he kept his wits about him. On the way to the hospital, his heart stopped because of blood loss, and they eventually replaced all the blood in my body. The mom, when she went there, was so panic-stricken, doctors had to admit her to the hospital for 3 days. He did not name the employer or say whether he planned to take legal action against the company. He plans on getting prosthetics and commits more time to volunteering. He's hoping his new platform will give him a chance to advocate for issues he cares about, including sobriety from drug and alcohol addiction. So maybe he, did something when he was under the influence, and that's why he was had the ankle monitor. You see that all the time. Well, that's good. I mean, that's another one. That's an interesting story. Because that could be a hell of a thing where he was all hammered and drunk, and then he turned his life around, and then gets this setback, and still, because I wouldn't do that. I mean, if I was just getting sober and my legs got ripped off and I was going to get millions of dollars, instead of saying, I hope to advocate for issues that I care about, including sobriety from drugs and alcohol, I would say, yeah, I'm going to get about 5 hookers and about a mountain of Bolivian marching powder and fucking booze and cigarettes and women and pretty much check out. That's all I'm going to do. My God. That's a better man than me. And you had a feeling that he was going to do that he's like Mr. Positive now. Because he just got his legs ripped off and he's still smiling. Matt writes, maybe he was beating dogs. Fake Free Beer checks in with, that's a Jocko Good story. By the way, Fake Free Beer is the owner and operator of the latest Eric Zane Show podcast, Marketing Partner, I should say. Forge 3D LLC. You can find them on Facebook. Forge, Forge LLC. I'm sorry, Forge 3D LLC on Facebook. They are the crown jewel of 3D printing in all of West Michigan and beyond. So if you need anything 3D printed, like a prototype for a part, that's a business-to-business type thing, or perhaps something broken that you know needs to be replaced, but it's a hard-to-find item, Fake Free Beer's Forge 3D LLC can print it for you. Corey goes with 3D print a gun. Oh, easy. No problem. Matt writes, Forge 3D. Can you 3D print this dick some legs? I don't know about that. All right. Well, best of luck to that guy. And thank you to Nick for sending that along. Does anyone know what you call it, Aram writes, when Hot Wings is saying a sentence and cuts off a word before finishing the sentence and moves on to a new sentence. I know what I've heard that happen. Starting a sentence, starts talking, doesn't really know where he's going, figures it out, 3 words into that sentence stops, new sentence starts. You know who does that? Trump does that. A lot. You are going to love Who Are These Free Beers this week. You're going to love all the shows. We had a great time on Ben and Eric yesterday. Who Are These Free Beers? The latest edition of the Bomity podcast is part of the Ben and Eric Patreon podcast. And my God, it's getting really great because we are actually now hearing the stand-up from Ben's first stand-up effort, which I thought was pretty good. We got about a minute of it on yesterday's show. Tophus says, don't knock ADHD. I have ADHD, and Trump gives us all a bad name. That's so true. I love my ADHD. I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing now if I did not have ADHD. That is my time, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for the asshole of the day. I'm not sure who it's going to be. I'm contemplating right now in my head. Stevie says, Rick, why do you say that? I've explained to you very explicitly, and so has he, that there is no reason to make him the... You must be kidding. It must be a joke. It's silly. Writing it down right now. It's quite wordy. Maureen says, just spell my name right. Asshole of the day, Maureen, Linda, and Stevie for being stupid. Congratulations. It has never happened before. 3 people on the asshole of the day because you're so dumb. Good God, women. Get it together. Rest in peace to your ears. Did it again. Okay. Love you guys. I'll talk to you a little later on the Patreon. Till then, bye-bye.